local election headquarters, sponsored by Beef O'Brady's.
Good evening and welcome live on our 13 Now digital platform. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and mypanhandle.com. We're beginning our local election coverage tonight, the 2020 general election, history-making event today. And it's going to be a very important evening here, and the results, the polls closed just a couple of minutes ago here in Bay County. We'll expect those vote-by-mail ballots first. They'll be coming in hopefully within the next 20 minutes or so, and obviously we'll be passing that information on to you as they come in here. 29 electoral votes in the state of Florida. You talk about a key state. We're in it right now, and we're going to see how it's going to play out for President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden. I want to introduce our guest, special guest tonight, Congressman Neil Dunn from Panama City. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Congressman. We appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, we were talking a couple of minutes ago, the year 2020, and it's not over yet, but what a year. I mean, we started with COVID-19, which is still big time going on, a presidential election. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this is an unprecedented year in so many different ways. Let's just promise each other we won't do this.
Let's don't replay this one. Let's don't replay this. But it's a tough thing, you know. But the country's strong. We've been through a pandemic before. About 100 years ago, I was doing a little history lesson, checking a few earlier this day, and about the Spanish flu and what Americans went through during that time. Yeah. Of course, the First World War was going on. President Wilson was in the White House at that time, and they were dealing with the Spanish flu.
And that flu also started in China. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. They were doing the social distancing, wearing the masks like we are today. Their communication was obviously a whole lot different. And candidates couldn't go to rallies or anything like that. They had no radio or TV, so it was a whole different ballgame back then. But, America's strong, and they came back at that time, and, I feel like we'll come back this time. What do you think?
I absolutely do. No, we will. In fact, I think the news is pretty good on the therapeutic front and on the vaccine front.
Well, you're a doctor there, and that's what I want to talk to you about just a little bit here. Sure. The vaccine, because, we hear so much. It's conflicting. Wear the masks, it works. Don't wear the masks, don't worry about it. What do you believe?
Well, so the masks, we know there are certain groups that absolutely should wear masks. If you have the disease, darn it, you should wear the mask if you're around anybody else. And if you're working around people who have the disease you're getting exposed to, you absolutely have to wear a mask. And if you're an asymptomatic carrier, now that's the kicker right there, because who knows if they're a carrier if they have no symptoms, unless they get tested. So the frequent tests are available for people who actually do have real risk of exposure, and they ought to be wearing masks if you're an asymptomatic carrier. But I'd also say that there's treatments to use now to make that asymptomatic carrier state much shorter, and I would urge everybody to seek those out. And in terms of the vaccine, we know this vaccine very well. It's not an unusual vaccine. It's a standard model. They have a very, very good target on the coronavirus, that spike protein you always hear about. It's very reliably present on the coronavirus particles. So this virus should be very effective, and it should be effective quickly.
Well, concerns growing right now because of the surge, the second big wave, as it's called, and everything, up to 80,000 cases a day. It's in children much more turning up now. So across the nation, really around the world, the concern is there. COVID-19 has not gone away.
No, it hasn't, and it won't go away until we beat it with immunological, widespread immunity. However, I would tell you that the treatments are far superior than what they used to be, and also that you should be focusing not just on the number of cases that test positive, but the number of them that are really sick. So what's the hospitalization rate? And in the hospital itself, how many of them require intensive care? So if you're looking at those numbers, they're steadily declining, and that's a good sign.
Well, it's obviously a major issue here in America and around the world, the COVID-19 problem going on, but also here in this country we have other issues too. We talk about health care, Social Security, even gun control. what are your thoughts on some of those?
So, we've been talking, you mentioned healthcare, and of course that was right in my wheelhouse, and it was one of the original things that propelled me into office was to fix healthcare. And I have to say that that's one that we did not get on the first term in office. We came close, we passed it out of the House, missed it in the Senate. We didn't even take it up in this last two-year session under Speaker Pelosi. I think we need to get back there, and that's a big one for me. Healthcare, and obviously encompasses the COVID concerns.
And what's your take on that too? Because the delays have been there, and there are a lot of people around the country hurting, and they need some relief from the coronavirus and all the problems it's brought.
And the cost of health insurance.
Sure, yeah.
And the cost of medicines, all of which I think we can fix. We know how to fix. We plan for fixing them. We just need to get out there and really, really do that, because that was the gaping hole in 17, 18 Congress. Those things. We did very well, I think, with the economy. Did very well with the military. Now we're doing very well with the peace deals and with the trade.
In Mideast peace.
Yeah,
that's a major
that's
thing
amazing.
there.
Some of that progress we saw there. And I, confess that was all handled on the administration side, not on the congressional side. Although I do sit on the Parliament and NATO, I get to see a lot of that stuff. But they didn't read us into the agreement between Kosovo and Serbia either. So that was a surprise to me as much as it was to you.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot coming to Tyndall Air Force Base. We've been having the stories recently about the rebuild and everything, and that's a pretty exciting situation out at Tyndall.
That takes a large portion of my bandwidth, Tyndall Air Force Base, because it's so much larger even than our Navy base and Coast Guard base. But we really have nothing but great news coming out of there. That base is growing as it's getting built back. It's not coming back. It's going to be bigger than it ever was, and it's going to have more important missions.
Big race today, presidential race. President Donald Trump, his Democratic challenger Joe Biden, neck and neck in a lot of places in the state of Florida. What from your travels and your discussions and everything, what do you think about the winner in the state of Florida?
So I think it's Trump. I mean, it's ever more so. The polls are showing that in a sense of momentum. But actually, I think the unlikely voters, not the ones that typically are polled, but the ones that typically don't vote, are the ones that are going to flip this. When people go to those Trump rallies, and I know you've covered them, they're incredibly enthusiastic. But we also get the names of everybody there and compare it to the voter rolls. And fully 25% of those people did not vote in 2016. So they're at a Trump rally for hours. Will they vote in 2020? I think they will.
Well, vote. That's the thing right now. We want to take a few seconds and go to one of our reporters, News 13's Courtney Mims. She's live at the Bay County Supervisor of Elections office today. A lot of votes, a lot of early votes, and interest in this race. Courtney, what do you have over there for us?
Hey guys, yes, I'm here live at the Bay County Supervisor of Elections office, where, as you can see, everyone hard at work behind me, counting the rest of those ballots that are coming in. The polls just closed at 7 o'clock, so not too long ago, but we actually do have some of those preliminary results from the mail-in ballots, and I'm going to give you some of those right now. So in mail-in votes, now these are unofficial yet. There's still some coming in, but the preliminary results for those mail-in ballots are that Trump, with 15,999 mail-in votes in Bay County, Biden with 12,239 mail-in votes. And that County Commissioner District 4 seat that's up for grabs, I know a lot of people interested in that race here in the county. Doug Moore in first, and Wright is in second with by about 700 votes that Moore has that lead for those mail-in votes. Now, again, I'm going to repeat, these are unofficial. Mark Anderson just came in and told us that, but these are the preliminary results that we have right now. And, we look at the 2016 presidential election and this one now in Bay County, and the voter turnout almost the same, coming in at about 75% voter turnout for Bay County. But the differences, and like you said, Jerry, are those mail-in ballots. We had a large amount of people send in their ballot this year. The difference is that about 29,000 people mailed in their ballot this year compared to about 18,000 in the 2016 presidential election. So that is the difference in this race, and we're looking at those mail-in ballot preliminary results right now on the screen. I'm watching them come in as we are talking to you guys. So I'm going to go for right now and give you updates live here from the Supervisor of Elections office. But I'm going to let you get back to the show, and I'll give you results as they come in. Live in at the Supervisor of Elections office, Courtney Mims, News 13, Panhandle Strong. Back to you guys.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Courtney. Appreciate that. Let's talk about Mark Anderson, Supervisor of Elections. 14 super sites. Done an excellent job, I think, making it easier for folks to get out and vote.
Yeah, so that's a big win. And, the real story there was the test was in Hurricane Michael, which came less than a month after, or a month before, if you will, the election. And the way he was able to stand up a perfect election with a higher turnout than the election before. Amazing.
Yeah, well, it's a super job. It's making it easier and everything. And if you're just joining us, I want to welcome you to our 13 Now coverage, our local coverage of today's 2020 general election. We're very happy to have Congressman Neil Dunn of Panama City with us tonight, give us his insights and commentary as we go along here. Talk about early voting in the state of Florida. 9 million voted early, about 64% statewide. That's pretty good.
That's amazing. It certainly is a record, and it bodes well for the ultimate turnout. Mark and I were actually talking the other day. We were hoping to get north of 80% turnout in the election.
Yeah, well, as Courtney mentioned a few moments ago, about 74, almost 75% turnout here. Active eligible voters, 124,653. The total ballots cast, 93,439 to date. And the breakdown here, as far as Democrats, Republicans, 29,755 registered voters, Democrats, and Republicans, 66,570. The other independents, so forth, a little over 28,000, a total of 124,653. So it'll be interesting to see how these races go on tonight. We had some preliminary results from Courtney a couple of minutes ago, and she'll give us updates this evening.
So you're going to post those here where we can see.
And we'll have that on the screen, too, as we move along here in our 13 Now coverage. Again, we're on my panhandle.com, Facebook, and Twitter. We're looking at some, this is the presidential race here. We're going to pass this along to you. It was 66% in at this time, unofficial, obviously, and you see how close it is here as Congressman. What about that? I mean, it's just President Trump barely out front here. I mean, it's so close.
It is, but
this is Florida. This is state of Florida.
We're just about to flip into the Central Time Zone, and we know how that affects the vote in Florida.
Well, Panhandle, very important. Of course, the president has said last time, 2016, Panhandle was very important.
That's where he
and
won
the
the
outcome
presidency.
of that. So, as this goes along here, we'll see how that changes here tonight. We have also amendments, several different amendments, but one in particular was about helping the spouses of the veterans.
Yes, it was.
That would be I think that's, Amendment 6, as far as allowing a homestead property tax discount to be transferred to the surviving spouse of a deceased veteran. Obviously, you're a veteran. Very important amendment, I think.
I think it is too, and I think it brings the veterans love Florida. In fact, Florida has gained the title. We put Texas in number 2 position. We are the single most military-friendly state in the nation, and that helps when you're attracting veterans to settle down here.
And right now, with 45% in, we've got 65% passage of this amendment here, Amendment 6. There are other amendments on here that we'll be talking about here this evening. And as we wait for the votes to come in and everything, but this race here is something that, as far as the president and the state of Florida, in 2016, he won 58 of the 67 counties in the state of Florida. What will happen tonight?
So I think Trump wins again, and you just saw that with the 2/3 of all the votes got counted from the Eastern Time Zone. He's actually up by 1, and it's the Central Time Zone in Florida where he carries typically by 67 to 70%. So we have counties in my district where they're over 80% Trump. So I think he's going to do pretty well ultimately. Hey, you want to go out on a limb and predict my race?
Well, I was going to ask on that. What's your feeling about your race?
So I'm one of those fortunate positions where my only opponent is a write-in candidate whose name I forgot. But I think I have a tailwind there. But I'd love to hear it from you.
I think probably you're in there one more time at least. Of course, that's up to you. What may happen after that, next couple of years.
Right now I think we've got a clear path forward, doing some good things, and healthcare is my main focus for the country. Locally, we have a lot of things we can do. You mentioned Tyndall earlier, and rebuilding everybody after Michael. There's take good care of the agriculture in the district, which is a huge part of this district.
And that's years and years to come, because you don't go through a Category 5 hurricane and rebuild in a year or two. It's a long-term process.
It is, and that lesson was drilled into me early, but they said be patient, but be aggressive and keep leaning in and fight for your folks, and good things will happen.
Takes a lot of work.
I'm getting some good news now. I really feel better about the whole rebuild process.
Your experience being a congressman, what do you like it? Was it like you thought it might be? How has it been rewarding at this point? Obviously, you're still probably going to be reelected.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yes, thank you. It's been very rewarding. So, and the thing that's rewarding about it is the people you meet, and sometimes the people you can really help. There's just heroic people up there and back here, and some epic stories that you hear, and you just can't believe the things that people are willing to do for their community, for their country, for their families, and so it's very inspiring. It makes you want to do the work, and so I'm enjoying it in that sense. I won't say there are never bad days. There are, but there's a lot of good ones too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. That's good. I can't imagine traveling some of the roads that you have and meeting some of the people you have. I think that's great.
It really is. It's like being on a show where you really just meet hero after hero.
We have some more results here, Congressman. I want to put on the screen as we continue here. This is District 1, State Senator of District 1. Douglas Broxton is the Republican. As you can see, he's out front with 63% of the vote right now.
Too, yeah.
That's right, incumbent. This is over there in Escambia County and part of Santa Rosa, I think, maybe all of Santa Rosa County. This is District 3, and this is a new candidate here. I'm trying to remember the District 3.
So that's Leon County, and Marva Preston.
Is that Bill Montford's?
It is. You're right. Senator
Okay.
Montford's seating.
So he is not in there. These are new candidates, and you see here that Lorraine Osley is leading 58% of the vote.
That's right, and that's very, very deep blue district. There's obviously a streak of conservatives there. I think Marva was an outstanding candidate for that role. She was a police captain for most of her career, and settled down in Leon County, very articulate. But Lorraine is well known there, and has a long-standing presence there.
Two good candidates there.
I think she's 67%.
67, yeah.
That's not a surprise. It's Lorraine's a good candidate too.
Okay, District 4 now, state representative here. This is, we don't have any numbers to report on this yet. Do we have any same there? This is, of course,
nothing on Jay yet.
Representative Jay Trumbull here in 3rd District. It's District 7, the Florida House, Jason Schoaf, right now with 33% in, 70%.
Jason's a real leader in his class.
Do you know Jason?
Yeah, very well. He lives over in Port St. Joe. Great young man, great businessman, and great family man. He's got a very nice family over there. And he was remember, elected first in a special election. Mm-hmm. So while he's considered in the freshman class now, he actually had a year, a little more than a year in office to get his feet there, and he's showing his experience already.
Good deal. We want to take time now and go to News 13's Anna Hoffman. She is at a GOP watch party.
Maybe not everyone we call Hispanic is, have the same culture, has the same views. And we should always be clear about that and not pretend.
There's a lot of energy here right now, Jerry, at the Trump victory party, and I am here with Bay County Republicans Chairwoman Debbie Wood. Debbie, how are we feeling tonight?
We're very optimistic. We think it's going to go great. It looks like the numbers are in for Florida, that he will definitely be in the win column for Florida, and it seems to be that red tsunami seems to be going.
Yeah, and it's been a busy few weeks for everybody. Tell me about some of the things that you and the other people, a part of your group, have done to campaign for Trump.
Well, with the whole problem with COVID, we could not get out and knock on doors until really the last few weeks. We've had a great group of Trump volunteers coming in, knocking on doors, making phone calls, doing all this normal stuff that we hadn't been able to do in almost 9 months. We've we had a boat parade a few weeks ago that was very successful. We had over 600 boats there, and all that has gone well. Just high energy. The people get out and honk horns, do the little car rides spontaneously. The sign waving on the bridges, all the normal stuff. But everybody's excited. Everybody loves President Trump.
And are we feeling very optimistic about the vote today?
I think so. You don't want to be ever too optimistic, but I think that he's going to pull this out because I think the people, especially in Bay County, understand the difference between socialism and democracy, and we cannot afford to have a Biden go in.
All right, and that's Debbie Wood, the chairman of the Bay County Republicans. And as you heard behind me, there is a lot of energy here at this Trump victory party as the results keep coming in. There's a lot of claps and screams and yells, and it's a very good day here. Jerry.
Registered to vote is provided by law shall be qualified to vote in a Florida election. Now, the state constitution currently says every citizen of the U.S. who is 18 and over and a permanent resident may register and vote. What do you think about this amendment here? Pretty important.
It clarifies who actually is eligible to vote in the state of Florida. I'm all for it. I mean, you wouldn't expect to be vacationing in Paris, France, and vote in their election just because you happen to be passing through.
Right. And we see here 79% approval at this point, with 31% of the vote in. Amendment 2, raising Florida's minimum wage. And you can see the vote here at this point, 62% out front. This would raise the minimum wage to $10 an hour, effective September 30th next year. Each September thereafter, the minimum wage would increase $1 an hour until the wage reaches $15 per hour, September 30th, 2026. What's your thoughts on this?
So I know it's very popular. It certainly feels good, but we know from long experiences that raising the minimum wage actually increases unemployment and decreases entry-level jobs. I usually ask the audiences when I'm there and say, how many of you have been paid a minimum wage at some point in your life? And everybody raises their hand. I say, how many of you are still being paid minimum wage? That's an important consideration. You want to make it easy for people to get into the workforce.
Right.
So I actually find myself opposed to that.
Okay, Amendment 3, all voters vote in primary elections for state legislature, governor, cabinet, regardless of political party affiliation. Now, this is all candidates for an office, including party-nominated candidates, appear on the same ballot. 2 highest vote getters advance to the general election. If only 2 candidates qualify, no primary is held. The winner determined in a general election. Another important amendment. You see, it's being approved right now. 57% of the vote.
Yeah, this is a wholesale change of the way we do elections. It's called a jungle primary, and it really has some very bizarre outcomes in a lot of different states. I would urge caution with this. I think it's how you generate chaos in an election.
Amendment 4 requires all proposed amendments or revisions to the state constitution to be approved by the voters in 2 elections, not just 1, but 2, in order to take effect. This applies to current thresholds for passage for each of the 2 elections. So it would be an extra time you got to go vote.
Yeah, so and I understand that sometimes people look at that and they say, why couldn't you take my word this time? But the problem we have in Florida is it's so easy to amend the Constitution. Anybody who has a few $1 million in their pocket can usually amend it. They can find some way to do that. Remember, we have part of our Constitution that actually describes how one must house a pregnant pig, and that's because it's too easy to
A pregnant pig?
approve constitutional amendments, right?
Okay. Amendment 5, do we have any numbers on that one? Amendment 5 proposes an amendment to the Constitution effective January 1st next year to increase from 2 to 3 years the period of time during which accrued Save Our Homes benefits may be transferred. And you see at this point it's being approved.
And that should be, that absolutely. And nobody feels that more than us right now. Think about people who've been dislocated from Hurricane Michael, and they're now 2 years out, and they may not have rebuilt their home. They may not have a new homestead, but they may be still trying. So this is a virtuous amendment.
We talked a moment ago, Amendment 6, amending the Constitution to allow the homestead property tax discount to be transferred to the surviving spouse of a deceased veteran, and
like
obviously it's
gonna
still being
pass.
approved
That's
there.
good, yeah.
45% of the vote in there. That's the amendments being decided today. 29 electoral votes in the state of Florida, very important state. And you know, there's been talk about Texas, about Pennsylvania. It's going to decide this presidential race today. What do you think about that?
I think Texas is actually in the Republican camp. Of course, we won't know yet because it's a little early in the evening, but I can tell you, I don't think that happens.
Even with the Democratic strides that have been made in that state in the
Right.
last few years.
Yeah, but so this time though, we're running on law and order, and the lawlessness versus that, and of course the socialist image has been raised, and so I think Texas is they're going to be solidly Republican. I'm saying Texas by 4. You can check me on that later.
Okay.
Pennsylvania is another big state. It's a really important state.
And the discussion of fracking that came up.
Yeah, wow.
By, to get the energy out of the ground, the way that process is, very controversial.
It's a very
fracking.
energy-oriented state, and I think honestly, I think Pennsylvania goes for Trump unless there's some problem with counting in Philadelphia, and we already had some problems with counting in Philadelphia, so it's not beyond the pale to suppose that we will be talking about Philadelphia and counting votes for another day or 2 or 3.
Right. And the presidential race may not be decided tonight.
It's possible, but it's not because he's not going to win Florida.
Okay. All right. We'll see how that works out. We're going to go live in just a few minutes and take you to, is it Walton County? I think we're going to Walton County in just a few minutes. Are we ready to go there yet? Okay. Just a couple of minutes, we'll be going to Walton County. We had some preliminary results earlier from the Bay County Supervisor of Elections Office. We have some more to pass on to you. We're going to go to Gulf County right now, and this is incumbent Sheriff Mike Harrison, who is the winner of his race today over Joby Barfield in Gulf County.
That's a win right there.
It's definitely a win. There's no doubt about it. Gulf County. Anything else from Gulf at this point? We had some other races in that area of the Panhandle. The school board, District 4, this is Marvin Davis and Deborah Crosby, and they've got check mark here with Davis winning this race. Also in Gulf County, we've got Franklin County. Let's go over there. This is incumbent A.J. Smith, who is leading this race. 80% of the precincts reporting, with 82% of the vote as the sheriff in Franklin County.
It's always good to be the sheriff.
That's right. Also, this is County Commission District 3. Noah Lockley is leading this with 62% of the vote over Brett Gormley. This is Commission District 5 in Franklin County. You see the 3 candidates right here. And at this point, we got Jessica Ward leading with 40% of the vote, but only 2% in.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some time to get that done.
Too early to call.
Too early to call there. School superintendent with 80% of the precincts reporting, and Steve Lanier winning that with 74% of the vote. Clerk of Court, we've got Michelle Maxwell and Aaron Griffith, and look how close this is.
Yeah.
Very, very close.
Go down the wire.
We'll have to see how that one's going to turn out. Also, I thought there was one more race in Franklin. May not be.
Florida 2.
May not be. Coming up on 7:30, I'm Jerry Brown from News 13, coming to you live from our newsroom here at WMBB on Harrison Avenue in Panama City. And, of course, our special guest commentator tonight is Congressman Neil Dunn
Great to be
from
with you.
Panama City. And we appreciate your time. I know you've been working hard and traveling a lot, and it's good to be home, isn't it?
It is good to
For a
be
little
home. It's a
time.
great place to live.
And you're going to be here for a few days before you go back to D.C., or what's?
We are going to be. We're not due back for another week, actually.
Still a lot of work up there to be done.
Yeah, we might have to mobilize, depending on how the vote count gets confused.
That's concern too. You see it around a lot of businesses in Washington and all these other cities, pending the outcome of this election tonight, and that's a real concern in any kind of U.S. city seeing businesses concerned and having to board up stores for
Yeah,
fear
yeah.
of something's going to be destroyed.
It's sad to see all the businesses boarded up in Washington, and you know, the pharmacies are having an awful time. They're getting looted. So
Right. National Guard on alert. I think even mobilized to some degree
I
at some
would not
point.
be surprised. I've been down here for 10 days or more, so
Yeah. Are we ready to go now? All right, Alexia, News 13's Alexia Chiropoulos coming to you now from Walton County. Alexia, what do you have to say? What do you have to say over there right now? What's going on?
Yes, Jerry, I am here at the Chamber in Walton County talking to Megan Harrison, who's the president and CEO here, and she said that she is all for the tax referendum here for the North Walton areas to get a potential bed tax. So tell me what that would mean for the area. Obviously, there already is one in South Walton, but what would this mean for people north of the Bay?
Absolutely. So for years, we've had a bed tax in South Walton, but state statute limits us from being able to use that money to promote any communities north of the Bay. And so if this passes, it will allow us to start to promote the communities that are north of the Bay, and it'll allow us to spend money to have some infrastructure improvement that are related to tourism. It'll allow us to obviously promote the communities up there, the beautiful resources that are there, from our historic sites to our springs. And so it's just a great opportunity for us to promote all that's north of the Bay and hopefully see some great positive growth as a result.
Absolutely. And in the poll results right now, how is it looking right now for that tax referendum?
We are currently tracking as a win. The last time I checked, we had 19 of 21 precincts that had reported. All of the early voting had been reported, and we are tracking as a win at this point. So we're very excited, very thankful for everyone who has helped us to communicate and to educate our voters north of the Bay. And we're really hopeful that those last two precincts, if they are north of the Bay, that they are also in support of the tax.
Yeah, and then also, too, we have the TDC here in South Walton. So how is it going to be so those representatives can come down to this area? How does that necessarily work for this situation?
Absolutely. So it'll still be the same TDC. It's essentially an expansion of the taxing district. And what will happen is the 9-member TDC council will have 2 members replaced with elected officials from north of the Bay. And so that will give our citizens north of the Bay a voice. They'll have an elected official that represents them to be a part of the decision-making authority for how the money is spent, all the bed tax that's collected in Walton County. The money that's collected north of the Bay will stay north of the Bay, which is great, but it will also just give them an opportunity to have some input on beach access and other infrastructure needs that are south of the Bay that our entire county and community can benefit from.
And then also, too, that tax within South Walton, what % is that at currently, and what will it start at in North Walton?
Absolutely. So our current tax in South Walton County is a 5% tax, and state statute requires that any new tax is a 2% tax whenever it's created. So if this passes, it will start as a 2% tax, and then after 2 years, the plan can be presented for a potential increase. But right now, there's no plan to do that, and we're really excited to get it in place.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Megan, and thank you guys so much. And we will continue to keep you updated here in Walton County. Back to you, Jerry.
Thanks a lot, Alexia. Appreciate all that good information in Walton County. It's a great county over there. Congressman Neil Dunn joining me tonight. I think it's safe to call your race, Congressman, considering
I have
everything,
to leave that
the
up to you
numbers.
in modesty.
I mean, I feel comfortable declaring that you're the winner in your race. I'm just going to go out there and say that right now.
I
You heard
appreciate
it first
that.
right here.
Jerry, thank you so much.
And what are your initial thoughts?
Well,
Whatever you want to say.
we're looking at the unofficial results here, and they're really pretty lopsided.
I think so, yeah.
They're reporting 100%.
Right. So that's good. That's good. First, to congratulate you. Appreciate your service. Appreciate everything there.
Well, it's hard work by my team.
That's right. And it takes a team.
It does.
It takes a team. It takes a lot. We have more results to pass along here to give you an update. We'll go to the president of the big race here. Donald Trump, incumbent. Joe Biden, Democratic challenger. You see the numbers there with 78%. This is the state of Florida, and it's still, Congressman, very close. 51%, 48%.
Trump's holding on a 2-point lead, and I think that the late votes are all going to be in the central time zone. So I feel really good about this one. I think that one's going to be good news.
This is the entire country now, and it's still very close. 10%. the whole country, and very early for this here, but it's not a big surprise. You see the polls and everything, and it's, I think, going along, if you believe the polls, well, those numbers kind of paralleling what we've seen lately.
I do too. I mean, we've been seeing the momentum change, and the numbers that honestly suggested that it would be more one in the Electoral College than the popular vote, but right now he's ahead in both.
I don't see a landslide.
No, I don't think so.
Some commentators thought it's going to be a landslide either way. I don't
It's
really
sort of
see
like the second Reagan election where you got 49 states. No, I don't think that happened.
Other numbers to pass along at this time? We have any more results? Come back to Bay County here, District 4. This is a commission, county commission. This is a seat that came open. And this is Doug Moore, Robert Wright, Keith Whitaker. You see how close that is.
It is
at this point here.
At 0% in, though, right?
Yeah, so it's just very, very early for this race. Thomas Cook, Eric Orm, Paul Davis, all these candidates
That's right,
here.
all six. Yeah.
Universal primary, Bay County Commission. Some other information to pass along. This is the property tax exemptions for new businesses. We talked about this a little earlier, 69% approval right now. And more from the Supervisor of Elections Office to pass along to you here, very early. This is the Beach Mosquito Control, District 3. John Smith leading that now with 59% of the vote over Brandon Caldwell. Poll closed at 7 o'clock about half an hour ago, a little over half an hour. Tallying the votes takes a while. They did the mail-in earlier. This is Walton County now as we go over there. 74% for Tony Anderson in the District 5 County Commission race over Carolyn Zonia. And with only 19% reporting so far. This is in Walton. This is a tourist tax referendum, as you heard about a few minutes ago here, being approved right now with 56% of the vote, 19% of the vote in right now. This is the Mosquito Seat 1, South Walton, with Jack Lyles and John Magee with tied there, 50%. Mosquito control is very important in this part of the world. You've got to have just very, very important people here. This is also in Walton County, Seat 2, Donna Johns and Michael Norris, and Donna Johns in front now with 61% of the vote. Some more results to pass along to you here tonight. Early in the game. We're going to take time out now, and we're going to our reporter in the field. News 13's Erica Orstad. We're going to go to her live right now, and she is, where is she? I know she's in Bay County. Okay, right. So she's the supervisor. All right, she replaced Courtney Mims, who's doing other stuff right now. Erica, Supervisor of Elections Office, what do you have to tell us right now?
Hey, Jerry, I'm actually outside the government center where the Supervisor of Elections Office is just right over there, but I'm in front of the government center covering the commissioner race for District 4, where, as you mentioned, currently Doug Moore is in the lead with just over 23% of the vote here, and they're working to replace former Commissioner Keith Baker for that District 4 seat. There are 6 candidates currently working to win that seat. I spoke with most of them earlier. Some of them are having some watch parties just at home with their families. Others are having watch parties out at a restaurant or a different venue around the area. But of course, there can only be one winner, and the polls closed just a little bit ago. So we are waiting on those results, but the vote by mail results seem to have been completely reported at this point. As I mentioned earlier, Doug Moore is in the lead right now with 23%, just over 23% of the vote. Rob White in the second place here with just about 21% of the vote as well. So with those vote by mail ballots completely reported, they're working on counting some of those in-person ballots now, and we will keep you updated with who is in the lead now for that District 4 seat. Jerry?
Erica Orstad, thanks so much. We appreciate that live report, Bay County Government Center tonight. Well, we welcome you to our 13 Now digital coverage of our local election today, a part of the 2020 general election. And I'm Jerry Brown, News 13, and we have a special guest tonight. Congressman Neil Dunn from Panama City for the last half hour or so been talking to us, giving us his perspective on the results from today's election. And we're joined now by another special guest tonight, Florida's Chief Financial Officer, Bay County native, Jimmy Petronas. Jimmy, good to see you.
Good to see y'all.
Good to have you join us as a co-anchor.
There you go.
Better be seen than viewed. So
now I know we're about the same height, but I look short here.
You've got much better hair.
The magic of television. I need a bigger seat or what here? Something's off here.
You are. I am like way into the camera. I just noticed that.
We don't have a mask, but I think we're safe with the distance and everything.
I can
Dr. Dunn's here to take care of us and keep us.
That make you feel a little more secure.
I'm fine. I'm immune. I've already had it.
History making today. Jimmy Petronas, what is your thought about today, finally, after this year and the coronavirus and campaigning and everything else?
2020 has just been, it has been a challenging year at so many different levels of government. But one thing I can say is the challenges with civil unrest, with the challenges with trying to protect the state's economy. Florida has been really in good stead. Very fortunate. And people are still moving to the state, 900 people a day, because they're tired of high taxes. Oh, here comes the phone ringing.
I think it's a tribute to leadership in the state. You've done a great job.
Well, appreciate it. But there's a number of things that y'all were effective with. And I tell you, the tax cuts that were passed a few years ago have really started to take effect in changing the flow of money from high tax states to low tax states. People are bringing their wealth, they're bringing their businesses to the state of Florida. Ultimately, that drives down the cost of living here in the state. So,
and along with the growth and everything, the challenges are definitely there. We were talking a few minutes ago about COVID-19 and dealing with that head on, and a vaccine on the way and being ready.
And therapeutics.
Sure. Right. So, all right, let's ask the doctor. People saying, well, why does it take so long to get a vaccine? I mean, I'm sure a lot of it's got to be with just the liability of pushing something out.
Well, I will tell you that no vaccine has ever been developed in anything like this short a time frame. The closest we have is 3 years. Yeah. We're looking at actually releasing and treating people in less than 1 year after we got the first virus to do the studies on the genome. That's unheard of.
Sure.
There's nothing like it in history.
And people are skeptical, though, too, because they hear like 2 or 3 years development, and in a matter of months, they're thinking, is it going to be safe to take to protect me and not give me a bad side effect?
So what I tell people is that instead of having a vaccine proceed through one hurdle, then another, and another, and another, which is traditionally the way we do it, we took all the hurdles down, put them side by side, and ran through them all at once. So get all the same tests, all the same approvals, all the same great care put in, no shortcuts. And but by doing it that way, we were able to get a vaccine out a lot faster. And the government has picked up the tab to produce these vaccines ahead of time. Whether we don't know, probably we're going to have vaccines, 100 million doses of a vaccine that we can't give. It won't be approved. But we'll have 2 or 3 other vaccines, 100 million doses of those, and it will be approved, and they'll already be manufactured.
And therapeutics, I guess, kind of work around the edges. There are other ways.
They're outstanding.
Yeah.
And we're really making great headway on therapeutics. Look, I'm trying to get Operation Warp Speed now to promulgate guidelines for proper use of legacy drugs that are already approved.
Yeah, that's right. You've been talking about that.
These are effective. This is the Tamiflu of 2020.
Sure. But in addition to the vaccine, we still can't put the mask away, though, right? We're still going to have
there's people who need masks, and the trouble is you don't know who they are.
Sure.
So we've asked everybody to wear them. But masks are fine. Let's don't lock down the economy. That's what I don't want to see happen.
Well, and look, I know as we look at the numbers that are, pushed out from other countries, and they want to try to skew what's happening in the States versus other countries. Look, not every system's the same. I'm sorry. Right. Look, I'm telling you, they want to try to say that China doesn't have, high infection rates. They're not producing any data. Okay, guys, North Korea has 0 infections.
We don't really know.
Exactly. So, I mean, so it's misleading when you try to, propaganda bait those type of conversations.
Well, with this election here, Jimmy, what is the big challenge in addition to meeting this coronavirus head on with a vaccine and everything, looking ahead beyond 2020, what's the big challenge for the state of Florida?
So, I mean, you know, when Neil comes back to Washington, and congratulations if I haven't done that yet.
Thank you.
When he goes back to Washington, we're going to be wearing him out for understanding of what we can do with CARES Act.
Right.
We've got $6 billion sitting in the state's treasury. It can be a way to really help the state, but at the same time, y'all got to have some consensus. It's not easy. You got to have a White House that agrees with a package that the House pushes out, the Senate pushes out, and the state of Florida is basically just looking for some flexibility. We don't want to hand out. We just like, you know, maybe a loan program, but you know, then you have the pitfalls of the New Yorks, the New Jerseys, the Illinois, the Californias that are so upside down financially, and they're arguing for just full outright bailouts.
They are. But, you know, I think Florida, it should be said, Florida has been very, very fiscally sound, very conservative, and very, very good custodians of your tax dollars. And that we did take a big, big hit on the tourism in this quarantine, and that's tough on Florida especially.
It is tough. And, you know, with the state growing and everything, more people coming here, a very desirable place to live, you got more and more people almost overloading the state. How do you meet that challenge, Jimmy?
So, I mean, we have got housing sales are up in the state of Florida 26%. Housing prices statewide are up. I mean, nationwide are about 6%. Now you look at markets like New York, they're collapsing, they're cratering.
That's right.
And so you're having this movement that's taking place, but you know you're having growth in construction in Florida, and the state of Florida where we really benefit. You think about every time a piece of lumber, a gallon of paint, a box of nails are purchased, roofs installed, their sales tax being collected, the state's getting its commission. And then you think of all those employees, all those contractors, all those framers, those plumbers, those electricians, they all get paid. They're going and buying goods and services they pay sales tax on. So the compounding effect of what construction industry has done for the state of Florida has been incredibly helpful, especially times right now, considering how a perfect example is the convention business in the state of Florida.
Right.
It's just been decimated.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think we will do another stimulus. We'll do some more funds through the CARES Act or another CARES Act.
Sure.
But right now we're just stuck on the election. You know, it's the divisiveness in the House basically.
And once you think this is over with, the outcome and all the decisions made, all, you know, the winners and everything, then you can move on in D.C. to get something to help people around
we
America
need to get this
hurting.
election behind us in order to get some things moving.
And look, as long as Nancy Pelosi's calling Trump morbidly obese, y'all aren't going to pass anything. I mean, it's
polarizing.
And it's silly season. You know, it's been the worst. I was talking to a dear friend of mine, works in D.C. and works a lot of the events on both the Republican side and the Democratic side because his government job requires him to.
Right.
And, you know, the enthusiasm that takes place at a Trump event versus a Biden event is like comparing, you know, bowling balls to grapes.
But, you know, along with that, too, people get tired of both sides. And it's like, you know, I don't know which one to support. I don't know the direction I want to go. I just want to check out. There's
Sure.
that percentage, too.
We can help them with that, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's definitely as folks have had enough is enough of the challenges that have happened, and civil unrest is not an attractive place to make an investment. And the fighting that is taking place, the looting, the violence, as it gets on TV and people see it, they make decisions by that. And then you go throw the double whammy of shutdowns because of COVID, high taxes. No.
Close your store because they're looting it.
Yeah, I mean all that makes a movement, and look, I think it's affecting. You're going to see Florida go for Donald Trump. The Panhandle is going to perform the way it typically does. It's going to carry the state of Florida, and I think, you know, Trump will win Florida without even need for a recount.
I think that's true, and I think people are going to be surprised in a lot of other states, especially ones where there's some unrest. I think you can see people voting for law and order.
Sure.
We were talking about that a moment ago, too. It's, you know, it's frustrating to see that. It's sad to see that on our televisions, other cities having to board up businesses to protect from, you know, potential riots, depending on the outcome of this day.
Yeah, and you really don't see people boarding up here for the obvious reasons that they don't need to.
You got it. 7:50 is the time. I'm joined tonight by Congressman Neil Dunn, Chief Financial Officer, State of Florida, Jimmy Patronis. We welcome you to our 13 Now live coverage of our 2020 election. I'm Jerry Brown from News 13. We welcome you. We appreciate you being there. Tell your friends if they're not watching. Get everybody on there. All evening long, we're going to have updates. We expect more information from our election results any moment. So you stay with us all evening long. This day here has been, again, we've had a lot of records as far as early voting. A little 63% going statewide, going to about 9 million people that had voted before today. We had like almost 75% here in Bay County. So, gentlemen, that's a pretty good indication of people interested in casting a ballot today.
Some enthusiasm to come out and vote.
Right.
And as we mentioned earlier, too, we're seeing a lot of people voting who didn't vote in 16 and maybe even in 12. Sure. So these are people who are not frequent voters. They're not the likely voters that pollsters typically talk to, and but they're making their way out tonight.
Well, and I tell you, I'll be a little biased. I think we've got great systems in the state of Florida. Mark Anderson here locally.
Outstanding.
Look, we were decimated by Hurricane Michael, and he had to put together these mega sites. And, I think it made things convenient,
Very efficient job, making it easy to vote.
And just pick up the phone, say send my ballot, it comes in, and you can verify if your vote was tallied. I think all that makes it, gives people peace of mind.
I think Governor DeSantis put a lot of pressure on all the supervisors of elections to get their offices cleaned up and really get in and count these votes this time. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any repeats of Florida hanging chads.
No, he didn't want Trump to come after him either. So. The rallies, Trump's just merciless attacking DeSantis. Says, if I lose Florida, I'm coming after you. and he means it, So.
Well, I don't think he's going to have. I think Ron is safe.
Yeah.
We have any more numbers to pass along? Any more updates from our votes around the area tonight? We're covering all. We have our reporters out there. We're waiting for our supervisors of elections to get us updated. And we'll take you to Jackson County, give you some more numbers here. Sheriff race up there. Lou Roberts retiring, longtime sheriff in Jackson County. Great gentleman. And we've got Donnie Edenfield right now leading. Hayes Baggett, of course, Mr. Baggett's chief of police up there in Marietta. This is that race right now. I don't see the percentage, how much it is. 80%? 80% in. And
both good candidates. Donnie,
very good candidates.
Donnie sort of always had the edge, but they're both great law enforcement officers.
Also in Jackson County, Superintendent of Schools, Steve Benton, back in the fold. He was previously superintendent back in. He's leading 57% of the vote for the to head up the school system up there in Jackson County. Also tonight from Jackson, we've got the property appraiser. This is Rebecca Morris-Hayde, 61% of the vote, winning that race right now. Jackson County is a fine county, and we've got the supervisor of elections up there. Talk about elections. Here we go. Carol Dunaway is winning this race with 70% in now, 56% of the vote in Jackson County tonight. And we move on to another. Is that our update? Yeah, we mentioned this a moment ago.
With 80% in.
Yeah. Washington County, here's some numbers there. 100% in, and we've got Carol Rudd winning the race of supervisor of elections with 81% of the vote in Washington County. We also have something else in Washington to pass along tonight. Looks like that's it. Okay, Holmes County, we'll go there. Economic Development ad valorem tax, and it's being approved right now with 65%
strong
of the vote in Holmes County.
They've been leaning forward lately. It's economic development really looked good.
We mentioned Jackson County. We want to take you live to Jackson County, and News 13's Faith Graham is standing by to bring us an update from Marietta. Faith, take it away.
Hey Jerry, that's correct. Steve Benton has officially won the superintendent of schools here in Jackson County, and this isn't his first time getting elected to that position. I'm actually joined by him now. Tell us, how do you feel to be getting elected to this position once again?
I feel very good tonight. It's coming back from the I was superintendent here from 12 to 16, and been down in Liberty County working, and it just feels good to come back home to be superintendent again.
And so what do you hope to bring back to this position?
I hope to start meeting with administrators and teachers and try to bring back unity and bring back the community and the teachers and everything working toward a common goal for the best of our children.
And how did you feel today waiting on these votes to come in tonight?
I felt good about it. I was, concerned, but I'm very pleased that Jackson County has returned me back as their superintendent for the second time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Benton. And that was Mr. Benton. He's now the superintendent of schools here in Jackson County. I'll send it back to you, Jerry.
Faith, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Faith Graham live in Marietta tonight, giving us that update from Jackson County. We also have a reporter up there. We're going to take you back to Jackson County right now and get some more information up there. Emily's standing by for us to give us Emily McLeod. There she is. Get the mic, and you're ready to go. And you're going to talk to the sheriff candidates, superintendent. Who are you going to talk to?
Hey Jerry, right now I have got the new sheriff of Jackson County, Donnie Edenfield. He saw an early victory in this election tonight. He was leading for a majority of the entire time he was leading in this race. We've got him right here with us, lifelong Jackson County resident and now the Jackson County sheriff, Donnie Edenfield. How does it feel to, have a victory tonight?
Great, obviously. First and foremost, thank God Almighty, the maker of the heaven and the earth, and the huge amount of supporters that my team had, or our team had. It's amazing. So many people is behind this. Donnie Edenfield didn't do it by himself, I promise you that. And just a huge number of supporters that worked so hard for so long. And I couldn't be proud of them and the whole team. Just excited.
What's going to be your first goal now that you're sheriff? What's the number one thing you're focused on going into this new position?
That our citizens come first. You do that, and everything else will start falling into place. Serving the citizens has got to be top priority.
What are some changes that you would like to bring to Jackson County now that you're the new sheriff?
I'd like to see a couple of things. One of them is the Teen Drivers Challenge that I've talked about in the past in some of my videos, bringing that to our teen drivers in the county, and trying to help those who are addicted to substances a little more than maybe what we had in the past. So it's all about helping people.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about your win tonight?
God is good, and thank you, Jackson County.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Edenfield. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and congratulations again. Tonight here in Jackson County, they've seen a majority of Republican wins here in the county. A couple positions, the Democratic candidates did take home the victory, but we saw a majority Republican victory here tonight in Jackson County. Reporting live in Marietta, Emily McLeod, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
Emily, thank you for that live report tonight. We appreciate it. Coming up here just before 8 o'clock, we're going to switch gears here just a little bit. Amy Hoyt is going to be taking my seat. She's going to continue to talk with Congressman Dunn and CFO Jimmy Petronas. If you're just joining us, we appreciate it. Live on our 13 Now digital platform from WMBB, and we appreciate it. So stick with us. We're going to change a little bit, and we'll continue our special coverage tonight.
Thanks so much, Jerry.
Thank you.
Hi again. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Amy Hoyt. We are live in our News 13 newsroom as we continue another hour of our special Facebook report. We appreciate you joining us tonight. There's a lot to talk about, a lot going on around the state and around our county, around the Panhandle. Our two special guests are still with us. We appreciate them sticking around for a while. Congressman Neil Dunn, of course. We appreciate him so much. And CFO Jimmy Petronas. So I have the state and the feds. So we get both tonight. Gentlemen, good to see you.
Sounds like you're about to be arrested.
No. We've had enough of that this year. None of that. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the Florida race for president, the most important thing that everybody's watching tonight. It's not over, but what do you think, Jimmy Petronas?
Oh, hang on. I'll be right back.
I'll tell you what, he knows. We know
what do you
what's
think?
going
He's
on
going
here.
to double check.
So we're got most of the vote in, really, and Trump is still leading, and the late vote is all going to be in the Central Time Zone, and we know how the Central Time Zone votes in terms of Donald Trump. So and Jimmy's just he's gonna give you a visual.
This is what I think.
Got your Make America
I think it's over.
Great again hat on. You think?
I
Sure?
think it's fully baked for Trump tonight.
Do you think that
Florida's big for Trump, and that's a big win.
Right, and because he won it 4 years ago as well.
And you can't. I mean, there's no path to the White House without Florida.
Right, and they both worked hard, but he especially spent a lot of time in Florida. And the other night, Jimmy, when the president was in Miami at midnight,
and you were
campaigning,
still with him.
and he was you were there. He was introducing people. I was watching from home, and he went through the governor and the local elected officials. And when he introduced Jimmy Petronas, Florida CFO, of course we know you. We're like, yay! How does that feel to have the president of the United States call out your name?
It was different. COVID's created a whole different environment for him to do that. When we were down in Orlando for BB&T Center. Orlando, when he did the kickoff, he brought us all up on stage and high-fiving and all this stuff. So anyway, he's a big believer in praising, local elected officials.
Sharing the
he does.
He does.
He does. He gives a lot of praise. He's actually got a remarkable memory. Never forgets a face, right. And he gives shouts out to people that he sees in the audience. He recognizes, and he's a little bit of a rock star.
And I couldn't agree with him more. He really does. He remembers everybody's face and name, and it's an uncanny ability that he has, given the number of people he meets.
Sure.
You've met him, yes?
Many times.
In Washington, and you've been to the White House?
Many times, yeah.
What are those conversations?
Actually, go up there for a movie.
Movie night?
He puts movies on and invites us over to watch
Is that a
movies.
thing? Or are you joking?
No,
it's a real thing?
There's a little movie theater.
The movie theater
probably
there.
25 seats, something like that, in the White House.
Okay,
and
well,
he
I
serves
didn't know.
popcorn.
What does it feel like, though? I mean, I know you've been up there a few years. That's got to be. I don't know what that feeling must be. I know he seems like a regular guy, probably when you're talking to him, but he's the president.
Yeah, well, he is, but he's also team building. So he believes in the House is important to him. He believes the Senate is important, and he believes the Supreme Court's important. And so he gets all those people and his own administration, and he has them. He invites them in, and he talks to you. And so it's very much a team building exercise too.
And he treats the assets of the White House and Air Force One like they're the people's assets.
They know he loves them. Yeah, the Secret Service knows he loves them.
Yeah. So I've got a friend works Secret Service, and he said nobody has ever treated them the way Donald Trump has.
So there's a young man on the Secret Service who's from Panama City.
I think we were the same guy.
Yeah, same. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're going to check in Walton County for a moment. We're going to take a quick break and check in with News 13's Mia Bell Salzano. She is live from the Walton County, or the South Walton Courthouse Annex, I see. Mia, what's happening over there?
Hi, Amy. Here in Walton County, probably one of the most talked about races was the one for the District 5 seat on the Board of County Commissioners. And we have the full results in. Looks like Tony Anderson, the incumbent, and the Republican candidate is the winner, won by a little over 75% over Dr. Carolyn Zonia, the Democratic candidate. I met up with him earlier today, and he said that among his top priorities were customary use, infrastructure, jobs, all those things that they're already working on and are coming to fruition. So he intends to keep going forward with those things into his next term. And
I met up with also Dr. Zonia, and she just wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported her, and she had a great experience canvassing and campaigning this season. So live in Walton County, I'm Mia Bell Salzano. Back to you, Amy.
All right, before we continue on, we do want to thank Dr. Neil Dunn, Congressman Dunn. I know everybody calls you Dr. Dunn.
I prefer,
I know,
yeah.
I know. But we do want to say that it looks like at this point you are the unofficial winner of your third term.
Dr. Dunn is done.
Third term. He's
And
done.
I'm going to let Jimmy, my co-anchor here, I'm going to let him give you the statistics on that.
Yeah,
As soon as
it wasn't close, but that just shows, look, you've taken, you could be in Panama City enjoying your family, enjoying the grandkids, enjoying your family more, and you have made a commitment to serving the citizens of Northwest Florida. And I don't think it's just Northwest Florida, it's the whole nation fighting the good fight. And, thank you for what you do, and the vote reflects people's appreciation.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. It's no different than what you do. It's just a different address, but thank you very much.
I'm not sure, but I think you two like each other.
Oh.
We appreciate you both. But Dr. Dunn, we are going to let you go. We know you came in earlier this evening, and we sure do appreciate you, sir.
God
and
bless
congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much, Amy.
All right.
You guys have a great night.
See you.
All right, Mr. Pajonas, it's me and you.
Okay.
All right, you ready for a little election results? What do we got,
Yeah,
Josh?
let's do it.
Want to go back to the president, or do you have something local? Yeah? We'll wait and see who pops up on the screen. You're getting a thumbs up for the president of the United States. Right now, we're looking at Florida, and looks like your prediction may be coming true there. 51% Donald Trump at this moment. That's 88% of the state reporting in. 48% for Joe Biden. And I don't think this includes the panhandle at this point.
So 90, as I'm looking at what the Associated Press is pushing out,
Okay.
90% of Florida is in. Over 300,000 vote lead for President Trump. Even though Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Broward counties went for for Vice President Biden, the numbers that performed in there were remarkably stronger Republican than they have been historically. So there was a huge disappointment in the Biden camp with the performance of South Florida.
All right, now it's not over yet. We'll go with that. But let's say Donald J. Trump wins Florida. Do you believe that means he will win the presidency, or how much more will it take?
So there's no way that he can win the presidency without Florida. Florida is a prerequisite for him to win. So if we're looking at all the states as they come in by the various time zones, Pennsylvania is going to be really, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's going to be a train wreck. You've got a number of challenges and changes legally by the Attorney General, the Governor, hodgepodge, going to the United States Supreme Court. It's like I'm looking right now at Pennsylvania, where Florida, 90% of the precincts are in. In Pennsylvania, only 9% are in. It's going to be a long night in the state of Pennsylvania, and that's going to be part of, if Trump takes Pennsylvania, it's over. But with numbers and the pace that it is right now, it'll be several days.
All right, so you think Friday maybe we'll know for sure?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, I think at least it's 3 days. But Ohio's critical for President Trump, but right now Ohio's trending for Vice President Biden, but only 59% of the precincts are reporting. Biden has about a 200,000 vote lead.
All right, tell me a little bit about the state. What's happening around the state as far as you being CFO? While I've got you here talking about hurricane recovery and insurance and all of that. Tell me a little bit about that, where things stand and what people need to know maybe.
So with Hurricane Michael, it's still 2 years ago, but over $7 billion in insurance claims have been paid out in the state of Florida to those that were affected by Hurricane Michael. Their state of Florida still has almost $800 million in federal dollars that will be coming down to the Panhandle affected counties that ultimately will go to repaying counties' debts, municipal debts, where they had to take out loans in order to cash flow the counties and cities. So still the recovery is in play. It is moving along. But again, when you're talking about federal dollars that are coming to state and then local governments, there's just a lot of checks and balances that have to take place, a lot of I's dotted and T's crossed before those dollars are fully released.
All right.
But the state of Florida, again, I would much rather be here than in New York, Illinois, New Jersey, California. Those states have real financial messes on their hands, and it's going to be a long time recovering in some other states. We're lucky here.
Well, you know, a lot of those folks are moving here now.
Yeah, 900 people a day.
900 people a day.
It's crazy.
Wow. Are they moving to the Panhandle or mostly Central South Florida?
There's a lot. There's a big movement going to Southwest Florida, the Fort Myers area. And part of it kind of works out where the last real estate boom and then you had the foreclosure crisis. There was massive home building that took place in that part of the state. You've got a lot of folks moving to that part of the state. So, again, they're moving here. They're moving to Jacksonville. They're moving to Central Florida. It's a great place to live, a low cost of living, but as you put a mix of lockdowns, civil unrest, high tax environments, that's a perfect recipe for people leaving with their wealth and moving to low tax states.
Maybe they haven't discovered the world's most beautiful beaches yet, huh?
Well,
the state's great, but
it's funny you say it. So, for Northwest Florida, September and October this year have been the two largest fall months in the history of the Panhandle. Wow. And what's happened, there's no cruises, there's no college football, there's just so much more, so fewer options of how people are spending their times. So they've discovered that Northwest Florida's beaches are really nice this time of year.
It is beautiful here. Well, you are watching 13 Now here on WMBB News 13. Of course, we are live on our Facebook and on our stream on mypanhandle.com. Various ways, obviously, to pick us up, and we are speaking with Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Petronis, who is our hometown guy. Everybody recognizes you, of course. We do want to take a moment to check in with News 13's Anna Hoffman. She is live now from the local Democratic headquarters to see how they're feeling tonight. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Amy. Yes, energy is very high here. Everybody, as they say, are feeling very nervously optimistic. As you can see, they're all sitting very socially distanced around the fire, enjoying some great food, and just watching as those results start to come in. But some of them do say that there is time for a change in the country, so they are hoping for the best, as they did put in their best effort here in Bay County on the campaign trail. So now all they can do is hope and stay optimistic. But we'll keep you updated on what they're doing throughout the night. But that's all I have for you now, Amy, live in Panama City. Anna Hoffman, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
All right, Anna, thank you so much. Broadcasting live from the Bay County Democratic headquarters. Everybody's excited tonight. It's a toss-up in many places across the country, especially for the presidential race. So everybody's watching and waiting to see if their candidate is the winner. We do want to take a look at some of those Bay County numbers now that are mostly complete from Supervisor of Elections Mark Anderson's office. Here we go. We'll begin with the Bay County Commission District 4 race. This was the one to fulfill Keith Baker's seat, who resigned back in the summer. Tight race because there are 6 men running for this, so, they each got their piece of the pie. But as Mark Anderson told me, the winner only needs 1 vote to win. There's no runoff in this. Doug Moore at the front of the race with 23%, closely followed by Keith Whitaker, and this is Robert Wright with 18%. So it looks like Doug Moore will be the next county commissioner for District 4. Thomas Cook with 17%, Eric Orm 14%, and Paul Davis with 7%. Bay County referendum. Property tax exemptions for new businesses, overwhelming 72% said yes on that. There was another property tax referendum as well, I believe. Oh, no, this is the property tax exemptions. I'm sorry, that allows county commissioners to offer tax exemptions to attract businesses to our area. Beach Mosquito Control District, 62%. John Smith wins that. Lake Powell Community Development District, let's see the winner looks like. Everybody's unofficial tonight because they do have to formally approve it tomorrow or double check it. Holt, looks like David Holt is the winner, unofficial winner in that race. Lake Powell Community Development District, seat 4, Jerry Robinson with 54% of the vote over Joshua Verville. County Commissioner District 5, this is Walton County now, Tony Anderson bringing in 74% of the vote over Carolyn Zonia. It looks like Mr. Anderson will be the winner in that race. All right, let's see. Tourist Development Tax Referendum. This one is Walton County, and this is not 100% complete, if I'm going by what's on my screen, correct? But yes seems to be ahead with 56% of the vote. The sheriff in Jackson County, now Lou Roberts is retiring up there, and this isn't complete yet, 80% though. Hayes Baggett is the current police chief for Mariana. He's seeking the seat, but it looks like Donnie Edenfield, who has a law enforcement background, is bringing in 63% of the vote. County Commissioner District 3 in Jackson County. Looks like right now Paul Donifro is ahead of Ronstons Pittman and Rance Massengill. County Commissioner District 5 in Jackson County. James Peacock looks like he's ahead quite a bit, 63% over his challenger Byron Dickens with 37%. Superintendent of Schools, now this is an unusual race. Larry Moore is the incumbent. He's bringing in 43% of the vote right now. Steve Benton, his challenger, appears to be winning at this moment. Steve Benton used to be the superintendent of schools up in Jackson County, got out. Larry Moore took over, and now Steve Benton came back into the race and looks like he may succeed in taking that seat back. Next up, property appraiser for Jackson County, Rebecca Morris-Hade. I believe she is the incumbent, 61%, over David Frazier with 39% at the moment. Supervisor of Elections in Jackson County. Their supervisor, I believe, is retiring this year. So these are newcomers. Carol Dunaway with the highest amount, 56% of the vote at the moment. Rico Williams, 29. Gail Ward, 15. Supervisor of Elections in Washington County, Carol Rudd, 81%. I believe she's the incumbent. Looks like she may win this handily. That it says 100% precincts reporting over Priscilla Brown. Holmes County referendum, economic ad valorem tax. We've seen a lot of these, Jimmy, around the Panhandle, different ways for cities and counties and towns to collect tax, I guess without putting the burden on just property owners. Or this may be one that way, though, but it's still 65%. A lot of people are against taxes. We hear about it all the time, but it looks like they're winning this one.
Sure, well, 80% of the vote being in, and at the end of the day, whenever you can recruit a business that can hit a set of metrics in a county in order to maybe, if you want to be able to be eligible for this ad valorem tax, you probably have to have a minimum starting salary, minimum wages, certain amount of benefits, and I think that's all fine and well, because here's the deal. At the end of the day, you'd want everybody you'd like to have no incentives, but I'm sorry, every single state uses incentives to bring in businesses, and this puts another tool in the toolbox of Holmes County in recruiting businesses. And it's competitive because there's advantages Holmes County has that the state of Alabama doesn't. And being a border county, this could be pivotal in recruiting jobs to Florida as opposed to Alabama.
Interesting. All right. Next up, back to the president here. Electoral college totals. Of course, they would need 270, but let's look at the popular vote in the entire country right now. And again, it's a tight race, and obviously all the states aren't in. So it's 50% Donald Trump, 48% Joe Biden, and that's pretty much where we thought maybe it would be nationwide when it's all said and done.
And I think it's almost kind of, we're looking at right here, right now, Trump is leading in the popular vote. California hasn't come in yet, but sometimes I think the popular vote just torments people. Almost with the electoral college system. I think when you throw both numbers out there, people scratch their heads to understand why did Biden lose if he had more votes.
And there's always that argument over the electoral college versus the popular vote. And I believe President Trump is only the fifth president to win the electoral college, to put him in office, if I read that correctly the other day.
Without winning the popular vote.
Without winning the popular vote, right.
Yeah, that's it happens.
Right. That's how the system was designed because of all the people in California and New York.
Sure.
Right.
It's a winner take all, and it does give protects the trend of how a state overall voted in the case of those presidential races. I like the system.
All right, let's move on. State Senator District 1.
Hey,
now, this
Doug.
is 65% Doug Broxson. Is he the incumbent?
He's the incumbent.
He's incumbent.
So Doug Broxson represents Escambia, Santa Rosa counties, and a piece of Okaloosa. Great incumbent. He was in the Florida House of Representatives for several terms, had an opportunity to run for the Florida Senate, and has been, as a matter of fact, all during the last few years, he was very helpful with a lot of the support we got with Hurricane Michael relief.
All right, next up. Florida State Senate, District 3, Lorianne Ausley, 56%. Looks like she's winning. Marva Preston with 44%. Is this Bill Montford's seat? District 3?
This is the Bill Montford seat. So Lorraine and I served in the House together, and then she was term limited out. She actually ran statewide for CFO and lost, and then came back, served in the House again. Bill Montfort was termed out, and Bill Montfort had a little bit of Bay County at one time. Anyway, Lorand will go on to cruise to victory there. Marva ran a good race, but her family's been in Northwest Florida County for a long time.
All right. State Representative District 4, Pat Manley with 72% of the vote over John Plant with 28%. I don't know either of these gentlemen, do you?
Yeah, so Pat Maney is a retired county judge from Okaloosa County. He's also a retired one-star general from the Army.
Wow.
He was the highest Purple Heart recipient of the Afghanistan conflict. Great guy. His secret weapon is his wife, Caroline. But he retired from the bench and just enjoys public service. He'll be awesome to have in the House.
All right, next up, State Representative District 6, of course, Jay Trumbull of Panama City. Looks like he's winning handily with 72% of the vote. He'll keep that seat over Alicia Bays, who is a newcomer this year. She's a local veterinarian, and she tried her hand. A good showing, but he's pretty popular.
Sure. Jay and his family, they constantly work hard to give back to the community, and he's done a great job in Tallahassee. There was a lot that he did for the recovery in Northwest Florida with Hurricane Michael, and he was in the right place at the right time and really made a difference. I'm real happy for him.
All right, next up, Florida State House District 7, Jason Schoaf, 71%. Now, it's only 72% reporting, but 71% of the vote looks like he may win this handily.
Yeah, Jason's from Port St. Joe. His family has a utility company over there. He ran in the special election race to replace Halsey Brashears, and great family. That's a big district. It's the largest House district in the state of Florida in number of square miles.
It's a lot of counties in there, and he's the incumbent.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
All right. We're going to take a break right now and go live to News 13's Courtney Mims. She is at the Bay County Supervisor of Elections office. Hi, Courtney.
Hey, Amy. Yes, I'm here live at the Bay County Supervisor of Elections office. And right now, everything's smooth sailing. And Mark Anderson came out probably around 25, 30 minutes ago now and said that the numbers you see on the screen behind me are the numbers they have. All the ballots they have are counted, and that is 93,314 ballots cast in Bay County this year. Now, that doesn't include some of the ballots are still coming from overseas. So again, these are unofficial results until they have all of them counted. Again, they have to confirm, like you said earlier, Amy, they have to confirm all of those numbers are correct and good, and they still have some of those ballots traveling, those mail-in ballots from overseas. But one of the crazy things about this election this year compared to 2016 is there was actually about 75% voter turnout in both, but the difference being in both of those elections was the fact that the amount of mail-in ballots this year was unheard of, especially Mark Anderson telling News 13 earlier today that he hasn't seen as much mail-in ballots as he did this year. And that official number, let me just pull it up on my phone here, that official number of mail-in ballots at this time was 28,918. And the difference between that and 2016, about 10,000 mail-in ballots more this year than in that big presidential election as well. So we're seeing the difference is right there. And again, like I said, smooth sailing here. All the numbers you see behind me are the ballots that they have right now. They have counted all of them that they have here in this office at this time. Again, these are unofficial results as they have to be confirmed in the next few days. But live from the Bay County Supervisor of Elections office, Courtney Mims, News 13, Panhandle Strong. Back to you, Amy.
Courtney, thanks so much for that live update. News 13's Courtney Mims putting sports on hold tonight for a very important day and helping us out with election coverage. All right, we want to talk about some of these amendments around the state. Now, this is Florida Constitutional Amendment number 1, Florida voting requirements. This is 79% with yes, and it's not 100% reporting unless you have something different.
No, that's accurate. I mean, so there's been just over 10 million ballots cast on this, where basically you would need to show ID in order to prove your citizenship to vote in Florida.
But don't we already have that? So there was a little bit of confusion with that, even though people voted yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's
it just solidifies it.
I'll be honest. There's items that end up on the ballot during presidential election years in order to drive out voter outcome of folks that may not necessarily. This could be perceived as a red meat issue. You throw it out there, it charges up a base of folks to go show up that maybe not typically vote. 85% in, there's not going to be any turning back. This will pass.
All right. Next up, Constitutional Amendment number 2. This was the 15-hour minimum wage that a lot of people are talking about. Everybody wants it to be $15 an hour, and this would make it $15 an hour incrementally, I believe, within 3 years here in Florida, and it looks like it's passing handily.
Yeah, so I mean, you still, as I guess the exact totals I'm looking at, it's to come back, you know, to bring it under 60%, it would take a pretty big change. 90% of the precincts are in, so I mean, this will probably be the new path. And you know, and again, this is an issue that was John Morgan. He's an attorney out of Central Florida. He championed this issue. Put some money behind it. Again, it drives out an interested base. We had this happen before in a presidential cycle. I think the last time was with when Al Gore was on the ballot.
Isn't John Morgan a lawyer and was a former partner, or may still be a partner with Charlie Crist, Congressman, who's now Congressman Crist?
He was. Charlie Crist, before he went back to Congress, was with Morgan and Morgan for a little while. Sure was.
Right.
Good memory.
And Morgan is the one who got the medical marijuana on the ballot, was he not?
He did. So he did the further expansion of it. But he's got a brother who has seen benefits from medical marijuana, so this is where he has been a strong advocate for that. And he doesn't declare himself Republican or Democrat, but he plays pretty heavy in Democratic politics.
All right, next up, Florida Constitutional Amendment number 3. This is for open primaries. We have what we call closed primaries here in Florida now. It's closer than I thought it would be, but it looks like people want to make that change.
Sure. So again, it takes 60% to make this happen. But there's definitely a constituency out there, a handful of folks that really feel like it should be what we call a kind of like a jump ball primary, where everybody can be on the ballot at the exact same time, Democrats and Republicans at one time. The arguments against it, a lot of incumbent politicians don't like it because they feel like, you know, somebody who considers himself a true conservative will never have a chance. Somebody who considers themselves a true liberal will never have a chance. That it only will encourage, you know, folks that are moderate to win elections and races.
No, I know you said it needs 60% to pass, right? It's a supermajority.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, and we're not there yet.
So this one, in my opinion, will fail.
You think so? You know, when my husband was in the Army many years ago, and we lived in Kentucky, Tennessee, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and we voted in Tennessee, they had to open primaries. And so every time you went in, I don't know how it would work here, if there are 2 different ways to do it. We chose. This year we want to vote Democrat, this year we want to vote Republican, and they give you that ballot. Is that how they propose this? So
my understanding, you would have everybody on the ballot. The top 2 vote getters in this particular case would then go on to the general election. So you would basically have you know, you had 10 people on the race, and this is exactly what's taking place in Georgia right now.
Okay.
Georgia has, I think, 12 candidates for U.S. Senate. They're all on the ballot right now. They're all about 20%. If somebody gets over 50%, it's kind of like a judge seat or a school board seat currently. If you get over that 50% plus 1 vote, then the race is over. There's no general election.
All right, interesting. All right, we'll see how that ends up a little bit later. Next up, Florida Constitutional Amendment 4. This would take 2 votes for future amendments, meaning this time we vote on an amendment, get 60%, it passes. But if this passes, it has 64% yes right now, means it would have to come back on the next election ballot for us to vote on the same question again. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Now, I don't know, I'll have to ask Brady, but it says 46% of the ballots are in on this one. Is that a typo, Brady?
No, these results are fed to us, so
Okay.
I can't give you a good answer.
Yeah, because, you know, but
this one has 46%, while the others are at 90.
Sure. So let's look.
There's an issue somewhere in the state.
So I'm looking at Division of Elections website. Division of Elections website shows this one's going to it's going to fail according to the Division of Elections.
Really? So we'll have to check that out and have it updated.
Refresh on that one.
Because had this passed, what I didn't understand about it, if it passed, was the same people aren't going to vote the second time around. So how do you gauge what people really want if, let's say I voted this time on this amendment, but I didn't vote on it the next time?
So just like we spoke to a little bit ago, that you put out amendments on the ballot, that can be like a red meat issue for a particular party issue. this is just a way to have some checks and balances to make sure that, do you truly bullet trains, those type of, do you truly want to put in the Constitution something that will. We want to give everybody, gold-plated roofs on their houses. Man, that sounds amazing. But then you understand what it's going to cost to do it. Do you really want to have your taxes go up in order to incur this type of?
So you get two chances to think about whatever the said amendment would be.
Sure.
You remember the pigs? Some years
pigs.
ago, the pregnant
yeah.
pigs. Yeah.
And that's what triggered the 60%. After amendments went into the ballot that were not a good place for that type of policy. That's where they successfully, it's crazy, the 60% threshold was passed by less than 60%. So
interesting.
That's kind of one of the jokes about it.
All right. Next up, Florida Constitutional Amendment 5. Now, this is where the property, right, the homestead comes into play. The Save Our Homes, yes, 74%. And this is helpful to veterans, correct?
Sure. So this limitations on the property tax assessments, but it also increases the portability time that you can transfer your benefit. So portability is something that, as we have Save Our Homes, where you go and you homestead your house and it kind of locks it in at a reasonable window of where you bought it and assessed value, but then you get trapped in your house because you want to go move, but your property tax bill has been depressed because you've been living in it 20 years. This just gives you more flexibility, and it will ultimately help realtors, it'll help home builders, it'll help families that want to upsize. They've done well, they've saved their money, and now they can buy a bigger home or in a different neighborhood or to another part of the state without being punished.
All right, next up, Florida Constitutional Amendment number 6, tax break again for veteran spouses. This time, looks like it's passing so far as well.
And this has been pushed for a number of years. They feel like, widows aren't receiving the benefit enough. So this was the right thing to do.
All right, next. All right, we're going to head on over to Franklin County and take a look at the sheriff's race there. A.J. Smith, who is the current sheriff there, the incumbent, winning handily with 82% of the vote at this moment.
I just had a missed phone call from A.J. just now.
Is he watching?
Yeah.
Say hello, Sheriff.
Hey, what you doing?
All right, next up, County Commission District 3 in Franklin County, 62% for Noah Lockley.
Commissioner Noah's been there forever. He was a commissioner there when I served in the Florida House in Apalachicola.
So you've been serving this county a long time.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's 80% reporting as far as we know at the moment. Next up, District 5. This is County Commission in Franklin County as well. Jessica Ward, William Massey, Madeline Navarez. So it looks like Jessica Ward is ahead at this time.
Yep, it's going to be tight.
Next up, Superintendent of Schools. Tracy Yoder is the incumbent in Franklin County as the Superintendent of Schools, but it looks like Steve Lanier has come out and is taking over that race and maybe their new superintendent.
Looks like it.
All right, next up. Clerk of Court in Franklin County. This is closer. Erin Griffith with 49%, Michelle Maxwell with 51%. So.
Yeah, the incumbent just retired. She was there forever. Great public servant. And anyway, it's these seats, when they don't come that often, open that often, they usually, you can see this one's a nail biter.
We've seen a lot of folks retire around the Panhandle in some of these seats that they held for a long time, up in Jackson County and some of the other communities as well. So this is another one. All right, next. Tax collector in Franklin County, Rick Watson. Oh well, wow. That's about as close as it's going to get, 50-50.
So Rick was appointed to that job. And Rick Scott had appointed him. Actually, Rick's brother was chief of staff to President Jimmy Carter. So anyway, he's does some government work in Tallahassee, but now he's full-time tax collector. But it's a tight race. Wow, there'll be a recount there for sure.
Maybe so. All right, next up. Just in case you're tuning in, this is 13 Now. I'm Amy Hoyt, along with Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Petronis, and we're taking you through the 9 o'clock hour, taking a look at results around the area, around the Panhandle, around the state, and, of course, checking in on the presidential race. We'll go back to that in just a moment. Liberty County Sheriff Buddy Money, 55% over the incumbent Eddie White with 45%, and that says 100% reporting, so it looks like Sheriff Money will be Sheriff Money.
Yep. And I tell you, when you drove through, I drive Highway 20 a lot. The signs for this race, they were everywhere. They were all up and down the right-of-ways in front of businesses. This was a really hotly contested sheriff's race. And anyway, congratulations to Buddy.
All right, let's check in now with Liberty County's Commissioner District 1, Dwayne Branch, out front with 54% of the vote. Looks like he's the unofficial winner over Albert Butcher and Teddy Eubanks. Liberty County Commissioner District 3, Jim Johnson, 54%. Looks like the unofficial winner over Bradley Bryant. Superintendent of Schools in Liberty County, Kyle Petty, 60%. Sounds like a race car driver. 40, I'm sure he's heard that before. 40% Aaron Day. So it looks like Kyle Petty is the unofficial winner in the superintendent race. All right, Second Judicial Circuit Group 4 circuit judges. 59% for Tiffany Baker, 41% for Amanda Wall. These are no party affiliations. Clerk of Court in Liberty County, back to Liberty. Daniel Stanley, 59% over Mason Keever, 41%. Property appraiser, Liberty County, Cindy Potter Walker, who is the incumbent here with 66% of the vote. Looks like she's held onto her seat over Archie Sumner. Supervisor of Elections in Liberty County, Grant Conyers, 47%. The unofficial winner, Shelley Stafford and Mary Strickland were his challengers. Supervisor of Elections, Liberty County. This is Sloan Fowler. Was that the same race with more people? Or because this is, yeah, it's got to be. There were 6 people in that race. That was a big one. All right. Let me know when you have the, there you go, the presidential race. All right. What do you think so far?
Yeah, it looks great. Florida popular vote, 95% in. And you got President Trump on a commanding lead. You're sitting at 300,000 votes. And really, the panhandle has just been such a game changer. President Trump, I'll give him this. Whenever he comes to Florida, he always shows a lot of extra love and attention no matter where in the state he is, because how the panhandle was key to his winning his last race, and it looks like it's going to be key to winning the state of Florida this time, too.
You remember last May, he kicked off his campaign on Panama City Beach.
Oh, yeah.
He came, and we were out there for that.
He came here to announce the funding for Tyndall.
Right.
And also the efforts with relief that's happening with Hurricane Michael. So he definitely appreciates the panhandle and knows that we love him.
All right, next. All right, now this is the entire country, the popular vote, and it's close, like everybody said it would be, 50% to 49% for Vice President Joe Biden. So we'll have to see where that goes. It's obviously not a done deal yet tonight. The Electoral College totals, we don't have those in. You need 270 to win, obviously.
Right.
Oh, I see it now. It was below me. I
Yep.
missed it. It was below me, out of my range there. All right, let's talk about District 1. U.S. Representative Matt Gaetz is the incumbent. He's been in for a while, 65%. Winning handily over his challengers Phil and Albert Oram. Now you know Congressman
Yeah,
Gaetz.
so Matt and I served in the House together, and that district's probably going to change a little bit after redistricting. As more people have moved to Northwest Florida, that district will probably get a little bit smaller. You'll probably see Neil Dunn pick up Walton County, where Matt currently has Walton County as it works. But Matt has been a real warrior for President Trump, and he was actually doing a lot of campaigning around the nation for other very competitive congressional seats, trying to help him out.
Right. I know he's been campaigning for the president across the country, as you mentioned, around the state. Was he with you in Miami?
No,
he wasn't. Not for that one. All right. Let's move on to State Senator District 1. Doug Broxton, back to that. 65% the winner there, over unofficial winner, I should say, of course, over Karen Butler with 35%. And, you got to give kudos before we move on to folks who not only already serve, but to those who throw their hat in the ring. Politics can be ugly, as you know, but it's the public service there, and your heart's in it, and you love your community and the passion. It takes a lot to get up the courage, I think, to run for these seats.
You're a believer. You're a believer. You're passionate about your views, your policies that you want to see happen, and you go out and you knock doors and you duke it out. And look, I think people contesting a race every cycle is healthy for the system.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody needs a little bit of a challenge now and then, just to keep us all straight, you know what I'm saying? All right, Florida State Senate District 3, we're back to this with Lorraine. Is it Loran? Loran Osley, I apologize. I recognize the last name because I know somebody with that name, so I don't know if they're related or not. 54%, looks like she's won that race unofficially. Pat Maney again, 72% in District 4. State Representative District 6, there's Jay Trumble, winning handily, unofficially,
and
but
this
winning.
Jay's last term.
It will be, see, Florida has term limits.
Yep.
And that's quite a thing. A lot of people talk about that being on the national level. How do you feel about that?
So, I mean, in the case of Florida, 8 years I think is a good fit. There's been arguments saying what needs to be 12 because you spend your first 2 years just figuring out where the light switches are at. So anyway, it would be nice to see him at the federal level. It was attempted. But it becomes a challenge in the courts because you treat federal officers. Well, they say, well, you can't put a restriction on those federal officers at a state level. So anyway,
Right.
Florida's unique. Best of my memory, the way the constitutional amendment is written is in the case of Jay could be on the ballot for 8 consecutive years for House District 6.
Okay.
So in the 9th year, he can run again, but he only can run as a write-in candidate. There's no limiting of his freedom of speech to run for the seat, but it's almost impossible to win
Right.
as a write-in candidate.
But as we've seen with a lot of races, sometimes these folks, and I don't know what Jay will do, but as you know very well, a lot of times they switch. Like he could go from state representative to the Senate.
Sure.
Correct? He could seek a seat if there was an opening for this area.
Sure. So George Gaynor will have one more election he can
Correct.
run for, and after that election, then Jay's House seat sits inside of George's Senate seat. So Jay would be probably encouraged in order to consider that. But look, he's got 2 little ones at home, a little boy, a little girl, beautiful wife, Brittany, and it'll be a family decision. But
Right, and as it should be.
Yeah.
And I know you know that all too well. I mean, if you don't bring in your spouse,
Then you have no
because
business
they're
doing it.
along for the ride. That's the same thing with the military. I mean, they talk about the spouse, but they're a part of the game. They have to understand your hours and you're being away and you're traveling and all that. And I know you do a great job because you always have the boys with you.
Well.
And we love to see Katie and the boys too.
Well, and like next week, I'm going to be in Tallahassee, I think 2 days next week. And one of the days is Veterans Day. They're out for school, so they will probably be in Tallahassee with me next week. So give Katie a break.
Did you ever see the movie Mr. Mom?
Is that the one with Michael Keaton?
Yes, years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
He was a little overwhelmed.
He was ahead of his time, though.
Yeah.
He was absolutely ahead of his time. All right. Do we have anything else? What do you have for next? Florida State House District 7. Jason Schoaf, again, we talked about that. You said he was from Port St. Joe, right?
Yeah. So Jason, like I said, he ran in a special election, got elected when Halsey Bashir's left to go be Secretary of the Department of Business Professional Regulation. So anyway, he's what they call a red shirt freshman. He'll be welcome back in the Florida House. He's a good guy.
Sounds like he's playing football.
Yeah, right.
Red shirt.
Yeah,
freshman.
that's exactly right.
I'm looking on our Facebook page where this is also streaming. 13 Now is streaming there as well. If anybody has a question for Jimmy Petronas, I'm looking at it now. Maybe you could type one in there. Be kind. It's a long night. Of course, everybody loves you. But if you have any questions about what his job is or something that's happening in the state, perhaps we can throw it at him and see if he can answer you live. So it says people are watching with you. There's a lot of people watching
Nice.
tonight. All right. I got caught with my glasses on.
That's okay.
That's what happens when you can't see
Live
things. You
TV.
put on your glasses. That's okay. I'm sure people wear glasses all the time, right?
Glasses? Oh, no.
They're just readers. All right, what else we have? County Commissioner District 5, Walton County, 74% for Tony Anderson. These are all unofficial winners. We'll have to wait a day before we can actually, they'll qualify these and certify them. We talk about here's the tourist development tax referendum in Walton County. Looks like it's passing 56% of the vote. They wanted to add that, I believe, to the northern end of the county for businesses up there because South Walton already has it.
Sure.
All right, the mosquito seat. What do these folks do?
So again, these are a special district. They collect ad valorem tax. There's arguments being made from time to time in Tallahassee that every special district should have to justify their existence, put it on a cycle once every 5 years, and you would go and sunset them. The mosquito districts, they'll levy a property tax in order to, the mission could be really for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens because you don't want mosquitoes to carry viruses that could potentially bring harm. So, I mean, but you've definitely, they're up for debate whether or not this is a mission that really needs to be done by a special district or can it be just done by the county commission. There is a Panama City Beach mosquito district here, but then outside of that special district, Bay County, does their own. So, I mean.
Yeah, mosquitoes are a bad thing for a little bug, they do a lot of damage. They cause a lot of trouble.
From about 6 o'clock to sunset, they drive you nuts.
It's just, that and humidity's got to go, but we'll work on that. All right. Mosquito seat, District 2 in Walton County. Donna Johns looks like she has a handily lead against Michael Norris, 61% to 39%. Sheriff in Jackson County, again, Hayes Baggett, the current police chief from Mariana, trying to win that seat. Sheriff Lou Roberts, who is just a great gentleman, a great law enforcement officer, and I'd like to take a moment to wish him best of luck in case he happens to be listening. Used to come and help us spin the wheel with the Bay County Sheriff's Office, the weekly wheel where we it landed on a criminal and we would help, try and help Crime Stoppers find them. And so we wish Sheriff Roberts great retirement. I know that he has grandkids and he wants to take them fishing, and he's done good things for Jackson County, so we wish him well. Looks like Donnie Edenfield, with 63% of the vote at the moment, will take his place. County Commissioner, District 3, up in Jackson County. Paul Donifro out ahead with 41%. Jackson County Commissioner, District 5, James Peacock with 63%. And Superintendent of Schools, again, we talked about this earlier, Jimmy, Larry Morse, the incumbent. Steve Benton used to be the superintendent of schools, got out of it, did something different, and has come back and looks like he's reclaiming that seat. Of course, it's unofficial at the moment, but he's still out front enough, looks like.
Sure, I agree with you.
Superintendent of schools, it's a pretty important role in any county.
67 school districts, but you go over to Louisiana.
They're appointed?
They're
hired?
I think they've got 250, 260 school districts. And you have counties that have over there their parishes, but they have multiple school districts inside the same county.
Oh.
So, and there's a number of states. It was that way in Arkansas. And I know talking to Governor Huckabee years ago, he was able to cut it in half. Yeah. You think about how many districts have basically been eliminated when you're able to pull that off. So, territorial boundary fights.
We're not the only area of the Panhandle, though, that has elected superintendents. We talked about that, and I think we even voted on it at some point where they wanted to hire or appoint superintendent of schools. But here, we'd like to vote on our superintendent for some reason.
Sure. And look, I think anytime that the people have a chance to vote for something, it's pretty hard to convince them to allow it to go to, not necessarily somebody who you vote for, but somebody who maybe has a little better set of qualifications.
Right. And you feel like they're paying better attention, I think, if they know the voters are watching and they have a say in your future or not.
Sure. And then usually elected superintendents, that also comes with a different cost of doing business. In case of Broward County, their superintendent is an appointed superintendent, but he also carries a much larger salary. So different cost of doing business.
One thing I wanted to ask you about that we didn't talk about is COVID-19 for the state of Florida. How are we doing? I mean, you get the different reports that it's up and it's down, and we check the numbers every day. Bay County was dramatically higher back in the summer, and then we went to 10 a day, and now we've inched up to maybe 40 a day, 50 a day, as people coming down with the illness, not deaths. Just getting sick and then getting better and moving on. Where does that stand with the state, and how do you see us getting around and getting out of it?
So, I mean, look, I think Governor Sanders is trying to do the best that he can consider the circumstances that we're in. There's not a playbook sitting on the shelf that he can grab. Like we know when we have a hurricane, there's basically standard operating procedure of what we should do in order to recover from that type of disaster. We're fighting an unseen enemy with COVID-19. You do the best you can, and as you've gotten into a really arguably a political fight over masks, a political fight over how businesses are treated and open. This is one of the reasons why our office, we're going to be advocating this year for some COVID liability protections. We want businesses, churches, hospitals, non-for-profits, schools to be able to have some peace of mind if they're doing everything they can to protect their employees and their customers and how they do business by offering masks, social distancing, all those. They need to have some protection so they're not open to just wide open liability lawsuits. But you need to be able to encourage consumer confidence. The convention business in the state of Florida has been decimated. When the convention business is decimated, hotels aren't full, rentals cars aren't rented, restaurants don't get utilized. There's just a lot of challenges that goes along with our state's economy. We're dependent 75% on sales tax. So again.
Well, COVID took a hit, or it created huge problems for everybody, obviously, but for Disney, which employs hundreds of thousands of people, they still haven't opened up 50%, and now they're laying people off. How do you see that playing out? Could they open 100% if they wanted to?
So Disney, we were there in October. We took my son there for his birthday. It's an incredibly safe experience.
Right.
Basically Disney employees, no matter where you're at in the park, if you take your mask off, they immediately make you put it back on. There's hand sanitizing gels everywhere. There's social distancing in place. There's a number of provisions they have put in place to create a safe environment. You don't order food by sitting in a counter anymore. You go to your Disney app and you order the food from the app, and they bring it to your table. So I think Disney has done everything possible, as is Universal, to try to make their experience a safe experience. They're trying to protect their jobs. They've got thousands of employees that they've been able to put back to work through this challenge, offering special prices on tickets. It's tough, but in the case of California, Governor Newsom won't even allow Disney or Knott's Berry Farm or Universal Studios to even open up at all.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? From state to state, how the governors have handled it.
It really is.
Speaking of governors, now I don't know if this is something you can check. One of our viewers on our Facebook page says Governor DeSantis just announced that Trump has won the state.
Yeah, so I just got
formally
a message just sent to my phone asking me, can we go ahead and I've got a friend who is monitoring social media. Can we go ahead and push it out that Trump has won Florida? I was saying he was going to Florida 3 hours ago. There's no way the enthusiasm that I saw in Miami on Sunday night at 2 o'clock in the morning with 15,000 people there told me anything other than Donald Trump's going to win Florida. So congratulations, Mr. President. Florida did their job for you. So anyway, you've got other states that we have to work on now.
All right, let's go ahead and check out some other results. If we have some right there, let's see what we've got. The sheriff in Calhoun County. Now, this is a tight race. Glenn Kimbrell is the longtime incumbent there. It looks like he's winning, and I guess he has won with 100% of the vote in. But it was a tight race between him and Mr. Matusha. Jimmy Baggett ran, Jerry Carpenter. But looks like Sheriff Kimbrell will serve another 4 years for the folks up in Calhoun County.
So, yeah, by that margin, it looks like he'll be fully done.
All right, County Commissioner District 1 in Calhoun, Marion Brown with 65% over Edward Holly's 35%.
Yep.
County Commission District 3 in Calhoun County. This is Bluntstown now, folks, if you're not sure about the Panhandle, which I know everybody is. And we love Bluntstown. They got Goat Day and all sorts of fun things up there. But Darrell O'Brien winning handily, 61% for that District 3 seat. County Commission District 5 in Calhoun, Gene Bailey with 80% of the vote over Thomas Terry. Now on to Okaloosa County, which is to our west, District 5, Okaloosa County. Let's see, Mel Ponder, who you know, 77% looks like he's won handily.
Yeah, Mel was State House. Matter of fact, he left early and allowed Pat Maney to run for his seat. So Mel will be serving on the Okaloosa County Commissions. Congratulations.
All right, next up. Also in Okaloosa County, half-cent sales tax for schools they were asking voters to approve, and it looks like it's passing at the moment, 55% saying, yes, they'll go ahead and pay that. I know we have that in Bay County. It did pass, and they used that money, so I guess other counties attempting to do the same thing if they haven't in the past.
Well, and you get to leverage the tourism base that comes to Okaloosa County in order to spread the
wealth.
revenue.
Yep, they help us pay for it. All right, next up. In Destin City Council, vote for. Why does that say vote for? Would that be District 4, Council 4? Okay, listen, I don't need to be any more confused than I already am. All right, Dewey Destin, cool name, matches because the family tie there, 30%. Looks like he's the unofficial winner at the moment, but they're not 100% in yet. Teresa Hebert with 20%, Kevin Schmidt, Johnny King following behind for that City Council race. Bay County Commissioner District 4 back here. If you don't know, it looks like Doug Moore will be our next county commissioner. It was tight, though, because there were 6 gentlemen running for the seat, and everybody had their fan club and their families and their friends and their folks who wanted them to win.
All right, well, I'm going to see if I can stump you with a question. Do we know, were there any Democrats filed for this race?
No, these are all Republicans.
Okay, so you know what that means? That means this race has been decided right now.
Correct.
And there will not be a requirement for a race in January.
Right.
That was a big concern because, basically if anybody else had filed that wasn't a Republican, then that would be another expense of over $100,000 to Bay County to have to run a whole nother race just for the general election for that one seat.
Right, yep. All right, next up, we're getting ready to wrap it up. I don't know if you have one more. The referendums, the property tax exemptions for new businesses. 72% said yes, let the county commissioners do that if they want to attract a company to our area, try and create jobs, get them in with different tax exemptions. I believe we vote on this every 10 years.
Yes,
Is that correct?
They have to be renewed. Correct.
All right, has to be renewed. All right, we just got a couple of minutes left, and we can end on this note. This is the popular vote for the entire country. Trump, Biden, 50%, 48%. Of course, it remains to be seen with many states not complete at this time.
And I'm seeing Michigan and Wisconsin are now trending for Trump, which those are, especially Wisconsin was a state that Biden was hoping he would get. But North Carolina is really tight. It's less than 0.2% separate the two of the guys.
And President Trump won that last time, didn't he?
He did. He won North Carolina.
Did he win Wisconsin last time? In 2016?
He did win Wisconsin last time, too. So, and he picked up Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, like, again, 19% reporting. We'll be waiting on Pennsylvania until after Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, oh, well, hope it doesn't go that long. Everybody wants to know. But we'll see. We'll wait and see. All right, let's go. Next up, popular vote. That's what we just did, yes? So if you could switch that at the Electoral College. Oh, okay. I was hoping to stick with President Trump because we've been through these already. All right, the Electoral College, 270 to win right now. Vice President Biden with 131 ahead of President Trump, who has 92 reporting. This is how it's totaling up right now. Sure. Does that include, that must include Florida's 29, yeah.
No. So Florida has not been technically finalized yet.
Okay.
But like Alabama is done. Well, I take that back. It's not going to turn out for Joe Biden.
It's going to go red.
Yeah, they're still waiting a little bit longer.
All right, and I don't know if you have another one on this for the presidential. No. All right, we can wrap it up with that then. I appreciate it. Well, CFO Jimmy Petronas, as always, glad to have you in. It's always good to see you. You're our guy,
I love these. You've got some neat toys here. Brady, did you get this off Amazon? Where'd you get this from?
The technology is something else, isn't it?
Do we ever put y'all on TV to show what's going on behind the scenes?
Talking to Brady Calhoun and to Josh over there. He's running everything. They do all the tech out because they just make it look like it's so easy because we just get to have a fun conversation. But they're working and they're looking at the rundowns and they're looking at the technology there. It's pretty neat. We have to do another story on this sometime. Let people see it behind the scenes because it's cool and we're very proud of 13 now. It's a way that we can reach our viewers at home. The traditional television, we're always there as well on air, but online everybody is just tuned in. And it's a way to reach people.
And COVID has forced us to be more dependent on good broadband. So it is what it is. It's the new getting our news and staying up to date, the new norm.
All right. CFO Jimmy Petronas, thank you so much for spending an hour and a half, well, maybe 2 hours of your time. You came early, so we appreciate you so much. Thank you again.
Thanks.
And thanks to all our viewers. We appreciate you watching and sticking with us. We will have coverage throughout the evening. We will be back, of course, for News 13 at 10, and then ABC News has all their election coverage that'll stay on until it's over. So we invite you to stay tuned. Have a good night. We'll see you again.
We are the believers. We are the hope keepers.